Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the channel here for Open Mic here live on the John Campea Show. Now, this is the part of the channel that we do live still almost every day. Like, we're either going to have open mics or Ask Me Anythings, maybe some After Dark, some open spoiler discussions. Apparently, we got a lot of open spoiler discussions coming in June. We were recording the videos earlier, and somebody brought up June. And the number of movies coming out in June, and it's like, oh my God, yeah, we're gonna have like 4 open spoiler discussions. Anyway, joining me sitting over here is Ray, now eating his lunch. We got to reframe Ray's camera.
I'm just saying, no.
Well, he's like
we said 4, but if they're good, I mean, I don't see us doing an open spoiler if some movies are bad, right?
Well, I mean, I guess if something's crap, I mean, like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, we're doing regardless.
For sure. I'm sure Indy
will probably do regardless. I mean, maybe Transformers. What was the other one? There was one other one. I can't remember.
The Flash.
Oh, and the Flash. Well, yeah, we're definitely doing the Flash.
Yeah,
one.
we
So we got
the Flash.
a lot of those coming.
And definitely Ninja Turtles when it comes out.
Oh, God. You know what? Maybe just for you.
I'll just do it.
I just noticed you put the cat. Maybe just for you, we will do the Ninja Turtles one. So, guys, here's what we're going to do on Open Mic here today. We are going to take a bunch of questions that you guys have sent in 2 different ways. Number one is, of course, using our tip link. If you have a question you want to send in, but you can't watch Open Mic live, no problem. You can send in a question that'll get answered if it's appropriate to be used on our show, simply at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And then when we have time, and I think we're going to have time today, we'll take your live questions. For those of you who are watching the show live, we will take them live. And it's good to see you guys here. Good to have all of you here. Hello, Donnie and Teddy and Angel and everybody else in the live chat. And let's not waste any time, shall we? Let's get right to it. What is our first question today?
All right, we've got Anonymous who says, love from Greece. Since Mario was a success, should Nintendo blow its load with its second biggest IP, Zelda? Maybe use their momentum with lesser known IP like Star Fox before going to Zelda. I say this is a huge Zelda fan, best video game soundtrack ever.
All right, so I'll answer that in just a second. I forgot to mention, some of you who watched the videos we put up earlier today noticed that Chris isn't in today. Chris had a family medical issue come up with a family member, and I think she was texting me. I think things are looking okay, but that's why she wasn't in here today. The plan is that she'll be back in here tomorrow, but we certainly are thinking about her and her family right now, and hopefully everything works out the way it looks like it's going to. Anyway, getting back to Nintendo, here's the thing. I don't think there's any such thing as momentum when it comes to a studio. Not really. Like, for instance, if you put out a Star Fox movie, I don't think the success of a Mario movie is really going to have any impact on a Super Smash Brothers movie or a Star Fox movie or anything like that. I mean, Mario is huge because it's Mario. I mean, it's this big, well-known IP. And I think if they want to try to follow up Mario, then you go with your next, well, obviously sequel. So I'm going to guess that pretty soon we're going to hear about a Mario Brothers sequel going into development. That will, you know what? In all likelihood, that's probably the next movie they do.
I think you're getting a Mario 2 before anything.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think before anything else happens, they'll probably do a Mario 2. But then I think whatever their next, property, I just don't see anything else other than Zelda. I mean, I just don't see it, especially when you see the success that those games are having. Breath of the Wild is considered by some to be like a top 5 video game of all time. And now what's the new one's called?
Tracks of My Tears? I can't remember.
The Track of My Tears.
Tears of the Open Sun, something.
Zelda, Bebop, and
Tears
Rock.
of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom, right? Tears of the Kingdom is out and apparently so in demand that people were complaining about download problems and everything. So yeah, I gotta think it's gonna be Zelda.
I actually a little disagree, just because I think what Mario did was it gave us personalities to these characters that we've never seen before. So I think it's open game for any of the Nintendo properties, as long as they make it look like, like Mario, or like have the same Mario. I just think they could add to these their properties. The movie did for Mario what they can do for other properties.
I don't agree, because here's the thing, right? Universal Studios, they just opened Super Nintendo Land, right? Mm-hmm. Ain't nothing Star Fox in there.
Right.
It's all Mario Brothers.
Right.
People were walking in to this Super Nintendo land at Universal Studios. Jonathan, I don't know if you can find a picture of that.
Oh yeah.
But like literally, I'm like, when I took Ann there, we went on one of the early preview days. You walk through this big green tube, right? You're outside of the Super Nintendo land, and you walk through this big green tube, and then you come out in this, they call it Super Nintendo World. Look at that place. And it's called like Super Nintendo World or whatever, but it's all Mario, right?
Right.
And she started crying. And as we were hanging out there for the day, I'm looking around and seeing other people coming in and like start weeping and crying. And it wasn't over Super Smash Bros. It wasn't Star Fox. It was Mario. You put out any other property, it ain't going to get the box office that Mario did.
Oh, no,
You know
not
what I'm saying?
box office, but
Zelda might. Zelda might.
I think they could get the crowd in just because if people love Mario so much, they'll be like, oh, that's Nintendo, or oh, that's Metroid coming
Think
out.
so?
Something. I think people will come in. It's not going to hit $1 billion. It's got to be a real special property. But I think though they could get a lot of money from the properties, any property they have right now.
You might be right about that.
Yeah.
You might be right. All right. What's next?
Okay, Chloe Fanning is next, and they write, history has shown that not all authors can write a good script and vice versa.
Correct.
For where authors have to show us every corner of the room, where script writers only have to place you in one corner of the room, authors are just used to more detailing.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like way more detailing. Because I remember, like, I wrote a couple of scripts long before I wrote a novel. And the reason it took me like 5 years to write my novel, besides the fact that I have no talent as a novelist, besides that, is you're right. Like when you're writing a script, a lot is left up to the imagination of the director. Like you hand the script over and there's a lot there for the director to flesh out. But you're right. In a book, in a novel, you're describing every detail and every nuance. And they really are two different skill sets. I mean, again, J.K. Rowling, I mean, she obviously, she's written the most successful books of all time. But then when she stepped in and tried to write a screenplay, she had struggles, right? And we've seen that happen before too. So I'm not saying nobody can do both. I'm just saying they are two different disciplines, really. Writing a novel and writing a screenplay are two different things. All right, what's next?
Rob is next, who says, Ray was right. Pinball was really good and funny. Also saw an article from The Wrap, which really annoyed me, that in the headline spoiled what I'm assuming is the big thing in the end of Fast Ed.
Okay, so what Rob is talking about, well actually, let's first talk, Ray.
Yes.
Because I see the smile on your face. Ray has been the world's biggest evangelist for this pinball thing.
That just made my day. I wasn't just tripping because I watched it twice already, and I think it's a really good movie. I don't know.
And again, where can people even find it?
And right now, you can only purchase it on like Google or like Vudu for $3.99. But hopefully, it'll find a home where everyone could watch it. I wouldn't say anything is worth $3.99, but I think this one is worth it. You know.
Right. So as far as the headline you're talking about, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in the post-credit scene of Fast 10. That's now open public knowledge. Rolling Stone, The Wrap, TMZ, I mean, all these big outlets are running the headlines of it. It's no longer a secret. It's public knowledge. Now, here's the thing. I think I mentioned this on the last open mic. The thing about this is The Wrap didn't spoil anything. I 100% guarantee you Universal told them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% guarantee you. This is very much out of the playbook of Black Adam, where, hey, early tickets are soft sales. All right, so what's The Rock start doing? Start letting people know that Henry Cavill's going to be in the post-credit scene. Now, that didn't actually help ticket sales very much because, again, Black Adam didn't even cross $400 million. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it was shortly after the reports came out that the early advanced ticket sales for Fast 10 are soft. Now, it may have a very big opening, and I'm excited about seeing the movie. I am. But Universal saw that the ticket sales were soft. I 100% guarantee you. The Wrap spoiled nothing. Yep. Universal's marketing. It was not a leak. It was marketing. Universal wanted this information out to get people excited. And guess what? It worked. Because what are we doing right now? We're talking about Fast 10, and we're talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson coming into it.
There's two feelings that I love in a movie theater. There's a surprise feeling, and then there's you seeing it happening. You know, your goosebumps. No spoiler could take away that second feeling. I think if anything, it's that first feeling. Like remember in Shazam where Wonder Woman shows up?
Yeah.
I didn't know she was in there for real. Like all the things flew over my head. So when she came out, I was like, oh, that feeling is probably gone, but it's gone. But that other feeling is way better than.
I agree because I remember going into Black Adam, we all knew Henry Cavill was going to show up. So I knew, I mentally knew Henry Cavill's showing up. But guess what? When Henry comes walking out of the darkness in the midst, and you see him in that Superman outfit again.
The brighter blue suit.
Right?
That was it.
I knew it was coming, but it did not decrease my adrenaline rush seeing it one little bit. Exactly. Now, little did I know that would be the last time. The final time.
We should have brought flowers to that screening.
Oh, lay him at the screen.
Like
pour one out for Henry. Oh, we didn't know that would be the last time.
I'm returning to the DCU, guys. And now I'm leaving.
Hey, everybody, I'm back. See you later. I'm back. I'm gone again.
Rotating door.
All right, what's next?
We got Luke1234 here. I remember when you did your Bad Batch unboxing video, I made a comment that next time you should Sharpie out your address. 20 minutes later, the video was removed. Have you had any other videos you altered due to fan comments? You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah, thank God. I don't live at that address. And I moved, that was a few years ago, but a few years ago, Lucasfilm sent us this this big Bad Batch. For those of you who don't know, Bad Batch is a Star Wars animated show.
I haven't heard about this story.
And they sent us this big goodie box, right? Now, I don't like Clone Wars, so I was pretty surprised that they were sending me, because Bad Batch comes out of Clone Wars. I was pretty surprised they were sending me this Bad Batch package, but it was actually great. It was a great package, and I liked the first 2 episodes of Bad Batch, but then it turned crappy again, so I stopped watching it. But they had Bad Batch socks and mugs and a whole bunch. The problem was, this is further proof that I'm just a fucking YouTube nobody, and I'm not a celebrity, so I don't even think about this stuff. But I didn't even think in doing the unboxing video to block out the address on the box. So I'm like, oh shit. And and the thing with YouTube is you can't edit a video once it's on YouTube. The great thing about Vimeo, which is another online video service that's like tiny compared to YouTube. But the cool thing about Vimeo is if you upload a video and you realize there's something wrong in your video, you can edit the video and re-upload it, and you still keep all your views, comments, all that kind of stuff. With YouTube, you can't, right? So the only option I then had was to delete the video and all that. But no, I've never had that happen before.
You know, some guy's having a problem with that. John Morant right now.
Oh, John Morant.
I'm so disappointed. Come on, John.
You know what? Hey, listen, we don't know the details. We may find out that John Morant video was from before. We might, right? We might find that out. I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah. By the way, I just want to give a shout out.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Falnix 80 or 68 just gifted 10 memberships in the live chat. Thank you, man. That's incredibly generous of you, dude. Well done. Awesome. Anyway, okay. What's next?
All right, we've got Anonymous who writes, hey gang, hope you're all well. Chris, did you enjoy the Eurovision this year? And what did you think of the Doctor Who teaser?
Now, again, of course, Chris isn't in today. She's taking care of, again, there's a family health issues that she's off to, and hopefully that's all turning out really good. But yeah, it's funny, we were talking the other day, I couldn't even remember that it was called Eurovision.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. What is it?
Okay, did you see the Will Ferrell movie that was on Netflix? You probably didn't. No. It's him and Rachel McAdams. So Eurovision, I'll be honest with you, I'd never even heard of Eurovision before the Will Ferrell movie.
Is it an award show? Is it
a
competition?
It's this big international singing competition.
Okay.
Actually, you would like the Rachel McAdams Will Ferrell Eurovision movie. It's actually really charming and very funny.
Like Pitch Perfect?
Better. It's better than Pitch Perfect. I know maybe I just offended some people. But I mean, I thought it was really quite funny. But I didn't even know it was a thing. There's a good image of it. And I didn't even know. This thing is huge.
Oh, it's a huge deal?
It is
I've never heard of this.
And different countries competing against each other.
So you got that country pride.
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
and it's all European nations, and I knew nothing about it until the movie came out. So, but I've still have never seen one thing of Eurovision, unfortunately, other than the movie. All right, what's next?
Dad Jokes writes, hi, JC and crew. I wanted to say that Nebula's story arc is my favorite. She was with Thanos and rebelled, tried to kill Gamora, reconciled with her, then followed the Guardians and Avengers, and she killed herself, but eventually became a leader for the good and showed heart.
You know what? I'll tell you what. When I came out of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, one of the first things, and I've repeatedly said this about it, is it's incredibly satisfying. Like, as the final chapter of the Guardians of the Galaxy story, it's very satisfying, both as an ending to the overall thing, but for a lot of the individuals, I was very satisfied with how they wrapped up Drax. And I was very satisfied with how they wrapped up Mantis and how they wrapped up Rocket and how they wrapped everybody up, right? But you're right. Nebula is a character in the Guardians of the Galaxy that always flies under the radar. Maybe good for a couple of lines, like a cool character, but you don't really think of her in terms of her arc. But you're right. One of the things that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 does really well is it really makes you sit back and recognize the overall character journey that her characters had ever since the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And it is one of the more satisfying ones. I completely agree. Good observation. All right. What's next?
All right, Full Boyle writes, "Hi, Chris. Can any of your voice acting work be found on any streaming service? I'd like to check those out. Thanks."
You know, that is a good question. And Jonathan, make a note of that. Because I think I'd like to get Chris to address that and ask. So take a note of that question. Let's have, again, unfortunately, Chris is out dealing with a family health issue, but that's a very good question for her. I would like to know the answer to that question. All right. What's next?
Also, real quick, DatBoy22 gifted a membership. So
thank you, DatBoy. Appreciate that, man.
Scroll this down because we can't see it. So Star Wars cast game writes, pick one to play a Jedi, one to play a Sith, one to play a Mandalorian. This time it's the DCU Trinity: Henry Cavill, Affleck, and Gal.
Which one of that is for sure they're gonna play that?
Henry would make. Okay,
Affleck could play a grizzled Jedi, like an experienced older Jedi.
Yeah, and Henry would make a great Sith. Mm-hmm. And I think Gal is probably the weakest actor on that list. So
the man with the mask,
put her under a mask and just limit the amount of acting she has to do, and we'll go that way. All right, is that it for the tip question?
That's it for that. So yeah, we can switch over to supers.
All right, let's switch on over now to the super chats for you guys who are watching live and the questions you guys have been sending in live. What do we got? Before we do that. Thank you, you guys. We're going to take just a second before we get to your live questions. By the way, we're going to leave the super chats open for another couple of minutes. So if you have a live question you want to send in, go ahead and send in. We're going to be shutting it down soon. We want to thank a couple of the sponsors. Who are the sponsors of today's video, Jonathan?
Helix and ExpressVPN.
Helix and ExpressVPN. This video is sponsored by Helix Sleep. Their Memorial Day sale is running now, and it's a great time to upgrade your mattress. You can get 25% off your purchase for a limited time. Check out the Helix site for more details. Guys, Helix Sleep offers the best premium mattresses, custom fit to your needs, conveniently shipped right to your door. And in case you're not 100% sure which mattress is best for you, Helix Sleep's quiz matches you to the perfect mattress based on your body type and sleep preferences. Guys, you know Ann and I have had our Helix mattress for almost a year, and even when we go to Las Vegas and stay in these beautiful hotel rooms, we can't wait to get home to get a great night's sleep in our Helix mattress. The mattress comes rolled up in a box and is easy to set up, and there's even a 100-night sleep trial to test the mattress out to ensure that you love it. And good news, Helix is having a great Memorial Day sale that goes from May 15th to June 4th. Visit helixsleep.com/Campea to get 25% off your Helix mattress plus 2 free pillows during their Memorial Day sale, running now for a limited time. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. Guys, it is 2023, and online privacy and security has never been more important. You see, every device, phones, computers, tablets, has a unique IP address, which is like an internet phone number and reveals personal information about you. It's super simple for somebody online who knows what they're doing to find your IP address if you've ever clicked on a sketchy link or opened an email from somebody you don't know. Your IP address could become exposed. Now that's where ExpressVPN has your back. ExpressVPN is an app that hides your real IP address and replaces it with a dummy one, keeping you safe and private. And you don't have to be some kind of techie to use a VPN. Guys, it is so easy to use. Just download the ExpressVPN app on your phone or computer, tap one button to turn it on, and you're protected. And if you like your streaming entertainment, here's the coolest part. They let you choose what country you want your IP address to look like it's coming from. This is incredibly useful because services like Netflix and Disney Plus give you different shows depending on what
what country you're in. So secure your family's online activity and unlock tons of new shows by visiting expressvpn.com/Campea. Use my link and you can get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Campea. Go to expressvpn.com/Campea to learn more.
And thank you to our friends at ExpressVPN and Helix for sponsoring this episode of Open Mic. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your live questions that you guys have been sending in. So, Jonathan, what do we got?
All right, we've got Dinosaurs and Diversity, who writes, I saw your Guardians of the Galaxy 3 box office video. Be careful when you gray out another YouTuber's name. Their name was still showing underneath, and they might see this as you attacking them, calling them out.
All I did, I didn't say anybody's name. I looked for an example on YouTube because a lot of people were saying, and I said this specifically during the video today, that there was a lot of people. It wasn't one person. There was a whole bunch of people who were doing this big song and dance that because Guardians of the Galaxy opened to $118 million, which is very impressive, way more than the first one did. Not as much as the second one, but way more than the first. That because it was something close to Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, that means it's going to flop like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania did. To which I had pointed out many times, that's a ridiculous thing. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was not a well-received movie. And there's a big difference. But I just looked online. I just searched YouTube for Ant-Man, Guardians, box office comparison. Saw the first thing that came up. I have never heard of that YouTube channel that came up. I screen captured it. Great. I blurred out the name and just put it up. So no, I was not calling out anybody. I don't even know who it was that made that video. I just looked for one quick example about that trend that we had seen going on. So yeah, anyway, that's just that. I did everything I could to blur out the name, but I just wanted to show an example of that. But I was very careful to point out it wasn't just one person doing it. There was a lot of people making those videos, a lot of them. So I wasn't intended in any way, shape, or form to single any one person out. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Fangblaze71, who's wondering, ever catch up on Better Call Saul?
You know what? I never did. Better Call Saul was one of those shows that came out, and I watched the first couple of seasons, and I really liked it. And then when the following season started to air, I just forgot all about it and never got caught up. And then before I know it, they're talking about now the final season. I'm like, oh, so I have always thought I got to get caught up on Better Call Saul. I really liked what I saw. Everybody says it's great. But again, I don't have time for a whole ton of TV. And I don't pause something I'm already watching to go back and binge other things. But one of these days, I swear to God, I'm going to get caught up on Better Call Saul one of these days. All right. What's next?
All right. We have a two-parter from HV3. At first, I was bummed with your changes, even though I respected your decision. But then I realized I never listened to the show live anyways. Also, audio is probably best for me as well, because then I don't have a video playing while I'm driving. Well, that's probably good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We would highly recommend never to have watched any of the John Campea channel videos while you're driving your car. Yeah, I mean, look, we of course this week have started a change. One change. It's a big change, but it's one change nonetheless. So that we no longer do a live version of the John Campea Show. You know, we still do live open mics, live open spoiler discussions. We're still going to do all those. But for a lot of reasons that I had explained earlier, it just didn't make a lot of sense for us to continue doing the live show. And so today was the first day that we just started doing segments. By the way, I think I can speak for Ray and Jonathan in here. It makes our lives a lot better doing the shows in segments, doing the videos in segments the way we do and all that kind of stuff.
My bladder appreciates it.
And our bladders appreciate it. But listen, I understand for a lot of people, it's a change, and change for all of us is often an uncomfortable thing. But, you know, for a lot of reasons, we knew this was what was best for us. This was best for the channel and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a period of change. And then when we change this, it'll probably be uncomfortable again. But anyway, I'm glad it works out for you, and I'm glad you are not watching videos while you're driving your car. All right, what's next?
All right, HV3 is back. I think Nebula has the biggest character arc in all the Guardians movies, and maybe overall in the MCU. Not the best, just the biggest.
Again, like going back to what somebody else wrote in earlier, you don't even really realize, when you think of character journey and character arc, you don't really think about Nebula before Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Yeah, she went from being a bad guy to a good guy. But because her character has never been very emotive, it's hard to emotionally get connected to a character like that, even though the character does some really cool things in movies and we really like seeing Nebula in these movies. But it's once you get into Guardians of the Galaxy 3 that they gave her a lot more personality. They gave her more expressiveness. And you really now, after seeing this one movie, we can look back on all the other movies she's appeared in and we start to see it all in terms of a character journey and a character arc. And that's one of the many great things about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. All right, what's next?
Okay, Christopher Brickner writes, Fast X and Transformers have lower U.S. box office tracking. Both series, especially Fast and Furious, tend to do much better internationally than the U.S.
That you're not wrong about that. See, a lot of movies make the chunk of their money in the North American box office. That is the number one movie market, is the North American box office. A lot of people forget, when you say domestic box office, that's not the U.S. That's the U.S. and Canada. I don't know why they count them together, but they do. Domestic box office is officially counted as US and Canada, but that is the biggest movie market in the world. So normally movies make more money domestically than they do in the rest of the world. But Fast and the Furious, you're right, is one of those franchises that tends to do better overseas than it does even here. So a soft opening weekend domestically, because remember, when you talk about opening weekend box office, you're always talking in terms of domestic. It's pointless to talk about opening weekend box office globally because all movies open in a different number of markets. Some movie will open in 21 markets. Some movies will open in 56 markets. Some movies will open in 5 markets. So it's completely pointless and completely irrelevant to talk about the opening weekend numbers for a movie in terms of global. Pointless. But if Fast and Furious does have kind of soft domestic opening weekend numbers, that is concerning, but it's not game over because, like you pointed out, they do have a big push. They get a lot of their viewership when it comes to overseas box office, and we'll have to see how that works out.
You could see why this would be tracking well in Europe. I mean, look, they're in this latest trailer, they're pandering to the Europeans.
Oh my God, I just saw it. Because of everything. Man, that is blended in so well. I didn't even realize what I was looking at.
And he's smoking in that car with a kid.
And he's smoking the cigarette.
Dangerous.
You're a pussy popping up everywhere. All right, what's next?
Let's see. We did Christopher Brickner.
Yeah.
So okay, Chef Rigo.
Chef Rigo.
Hey guys, been MIA lately. Head chef, life is no joke. I bet. LOL. Hope everyone had a great Mother's Day weekend.
So I gotta ask this. So Chef Rigo, who we have gone and frequented his restaurant, but the problem is the last couple times we've been there, he was not head chef, and so. Shogun, for those of you who know, is this restaurant, one of those restaurants where you come and you actually sit at the table and the chef comes and cooks at your table. So does this mean if we go to Shogun for lunch now, we will not be served by Chef Rigo?
I guess not. He'll probably come out and see us.
Because he's too important now? He's got the big gig? He's got the big title?
I will say, what a journey. Like, I won't divulge it, but like his journey at that restaurant and now to head chef.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations,
Yeah, it's a really cool story.
That's awesome.
Also, I don't care if Chef Rigo's there, as long as that birthday cake is there.
Oh, my God. Just threw Chef Rigo under the bus.
That birthday cake is good.
It is good.
It's so warm
All the
and
food
buttery.
there is great. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Matt Corey who writes, John, I know you said The Flash wasn't a top-tier comic movie, but in your opinion, is it at least a comic book movie where you could totally see why others would put it as a top-tier comic book movie?
Now, look, semantics. I didn't say it's not a top-tier comic book movie. Because to me, there's a difference between top-tier and like one of the greatest of all time, right? Because that was the verbiage we had coming out of Warner Brothers. James Gunn, who I adore, he said he thinks Guardians of the Galaxy, he thinks The Flash is one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. David Zaslav, the head of Warner Brothers in DC, by the way, we just saw him sitting courtside at the most recent Lakers game, but he said it was the greatest, not even one of the greatest. It was the greatest comic book film of all time. So look, mine is but one opinion, but in my opinion, no. Flash is not one of the top 3 or 4 greatest comic book films of all time. It is not the greatest comic book film of all time. However, I would say it's top tier.
Yeah, it's one of my top ones.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely in the top 15. And maybe I got to see it a second time. It might be a candidate for a top 10. It's great. The movie is great.
And John, let me point out that maybe David Zaslav was never a fan of the movies, and maybe he's only seen a couple. Maybe the last one's Warner Brothers released.
Well, remember, it's not just him, James Gunn.
I could see why he would say.
Yeah, James Gunn is saying it's one of the greatest comic book films of all time. I don't agree with that, but it's great.
I actually do think so.
Really? You like it that
much? I told you when we got out, I was like, that's one of the greatest of comic movies I've ever seen. Just because it made the way the Flash was, I always thought he was a one-sided character, and it just opened my eyes, and it was really fun. I love
it was Supergirl. A lot of fun.
I love all the stuff about it. So
yeah. So in asking, while I wouldn't say it's like one of the greatest comic book films of all time, could I see how others may come away thinking it's one of the greatest of all time? Yeah, I could see it. I get it. I don't agree, but I do get it because again, it's great. The movie's great. I cannot wait to watch it again, actually. All right, what's next?
All right, Victor Edbaum writes, any excitement for the upcoming Arnold Netflix show, Fubar? Also stars Monica Barbaro, Top Gun 2. Arnold has always been underrated at comedy, in my opinion.
I completely agree that he's always been underrated at comedy. However, I'm not going to be disingenuous. I liked the trailer when I saw that. I mean, the trailer came out like what, a year ago? I don't know. It was a long time ago. The trailer came out. I liked the trailer, but I then instantly forget that the show is even a thing until somebody like yourself brings it up again. So, look, when you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, first of all, my favorite action film of all time is True Lies, in which he's hilarious. And listen, I would pay a lot of fan money to see Arnold Schwarzenegger and is it Tom Arnold? Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Arnold doing a movie together again. I just thought their chemistry in that movie was pretty much off the charts. You know what she's stealing the money for? An abortion. It's like, I die every time I see that line. You're right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Arnold, you're right. Arnold is his real strength in acting, because he's not the world's best thespian. He'll be the first one to tell you that. But his real strength in acting is his very natural comedic timing, because he is such a charismatic individual.
Mm-hmm. There is this coming to Netflix too, this documentary I want to see. Arnold, One Man, Three Lifetimes.
Well, I didn't even know about this thing.
June 7th, so it's on its way.
There was his young, I like the 3 separations in that poster.
Yeah.
There's the early bodybuilding stage, the movie star stage, governor and post-governor stage. By the way, if you've not seen another documentary called Pumping Iron.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Pumping Iron is really fantastic. This is all documentary about his bodybuilding days, in which he says one of the great lines. He was being interviewed by a reporter while I was working out in the gym, and goes, "So do you drink skim milk? Like when you have milk to your skin?" He said, "Milk is for babies. Men drink beer." And he said, like, as he's sitting there, Arnold is great. All right.
And then they married.
What's next?
All right. Chris Parker writes, you don't owe us anything, and I understand the need to maximize revenue and grow your audience. It just sucks we're not given option to pay and watch the full unedited version, particularly when you're still recording it, making it available as audio.
Okay, well, first of all, Chris, a $35 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Chris. It's a common misunderstanding. There is no live show. We don't sit down and say, okay, let's roll it, and then 2 hours later say cut, and then edit up the segments. No, what we do is we just record segments individually. We came in this morning, we get ready, we record the first segment, we edit it, put a little polish on it, get everything ready, upload it, boom. Then we go on and record the second one. So no, we're not the way our function now and our workflow here is we no longer do that. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. It was fine to me as long as YouTube was putting a high priority on live video and long videos, which they had done for a number of years. Then the 12 to 14 hour work days, I could handle it. I could handle getting up before the sun comes up and start working immediately in the morning and then having to work for hours before I go to bed at night. I could handle it because YouTube was putting a high priority on live and they were putting a high priority on long. But once they stopped prioritizing and they deprioritized live and they deprioritized long, it just made more sense for us to just focus then on talking about the things we love, but in smaller chunks. It just made more sense for us to do it that way. So yeah, it's a misunderstanding. It's not like we record the show and then we've got a whole hour. No, we don't. There is no live show. Now we are still putting it up as a podcast. And what we're simply doing is we're taking the audio from all the different segments, editing them all together. Plus we add a few things, like we take our channel members' questions. So we take channel member questions, include that at the end. We record an introduction and put that all together and then put that up on our podcast feed, which, by the way, go and subscribe to our podcast feed that you can find on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your podcasting app of choice is. Go and find the John Campea Show podcast. And we edit it together like that, but there's no like video file that we are just holding back and not sharing with the viewers. That's just not how we record it at all. All right, what's next? And by the way, thank you again for supporting us on that level, man. We appreciate that very much. All right, what's next?
Super Saint 13 writes, hey, John, I finally watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and loved it. You were right, one of the best comic book movies that year.
And that's one.
I didn't see anything else come through.
Oh, I didn't get it. Again, it is one of those. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is one of the great movie watching stories for me, for a couple of reasons. One is that I love being surprised by a movie. I mean, it's always great when you're super psyched for a movie and you go watch it and it's awesome. That's great. That is great. I love that. But there's something amazingly special when you are not really expecting anything out of a movie and you come out loving it. There's something really great about that. And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was a movie that for a full year I shit talked on. Because of that, nobody cares about Miles Morales, and I want to see Peter Parker, and oh, look at that animation style. I don't like the animation, and why are they doing it as a cartoon? And I love cartoons, I do, but I'm like, why are they doing this one as an animated thing? I got it because of Sony. But I just did not believe in the movie. I didn't believe in it. And then I watched it and instantly fell passionately in love with it. Just love it. One of the other reasons that I look back at that movie so fondly is it for me, it wasn't terribly long after John Schnepp died. And I remember it was the first time I really clearly remembered coming out of a movie and thinking, Schnepp would have loved this. It was, I mean, I've thought that several times with several movies I've seen, but that was the first time I really remember coming out of a movie theater and just thinking to myself, holy shit, Schnepp would have loved this movie. And yes, it ended up being my favorite comic book movie of the year. And that was the same year that Infinity War and Black Panther came out. I thought Spider-Verse was the best comic book movie of the year. I thought it was the best animated movie of the year, and it won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. And I thought it was the third best overall film of the year. I thought it was the third best movie of the year, animated, comic book, or otherwise, that year. The only two movies I personally put ahead of it was Black Klansman and Quiet Place. Those are the only two movies I had ahead of it. I just thought it was that good. And one of the reasons why I'm so ludicrously excited for Across the Spider-Verse, man, it was a year and a month ago, 13 months ago, that they showed us the first, was it the first 15 minutes? Whatever. They showed us 15 minutes of Across the Spider-Verse. And then a few weeks ago, they showed us like another 15 minutes. And I am just so stoked for this movie. It's hard for me to even articulate just how excited I am about this movie. It's pretty incredible how excited I am. All right, what's next?
Jesse as a turtle writes, because of everything going on, now I understand why all my jobs always make a point to say no union forming during the training.
I mean, look, I am very much pro unions. But hey, listen, unions are like anything else in life, right? There's positives and there's negatives. I personally think the positives far outweigh the negatives. But yeah, I mean, you can understand why businesses don't want unions.
Yeah.
You totally get that. But I mean, unions is what gives workers their power. I mean, without unions, I mean, employers would drastically try to take advantage of their employees way more. But so yeah, I get it. I totally do. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Hung Vu who says James Gunn is like that boyfriend who will wreck you and satisfy you all in one go.
Is that what boyfriends do? But okay, if you mean wreck you in movie terms as in emotionally wreck you, you're right. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 wrecks you.
Ray.
It wrecks you. There are a lot of tears. You're laughing 1 minute and crying the next and all that kind of stuff. And yet the movie comes to its conclusion. You feel completely satisfied. Like a good Italian lover. Leaves you, takes you to these incredible peaks, then leaves you amazingly satisfied. That is the Italian way. But yeah, man. And I'll tell you what, I am just by nature, I'm very excited to see what James Gunn does with DC, in particular Superman Legacy coming in 2025. But man, just watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3 just really doubles down on that. You see what a special filmmaker James Gunn is, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do with DC. All right, what's next?
Michael Mike Myers writes, if we don't get another WWE style fight between Rock and Vin, like in Fast 5, settling their differences in the post-credit scene, I don't want it.
I really don't want to see Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson having a battle in the movie, because in the world of Fast and Furious, Dominic Toretto can take out an elephant. I mean, Dominic Toretto, you can have 14 Russian tanks and 3 armored divisions and all that kind of stuff against Dominic Toretto with a wrench. And if it's in a Fast and the Furious movie, Dominic Toretto will win. It is utterly preposterous to believe that Dominic Toretto would win any kind of a fight against a guy that looks like Dwayne "The Rock," an FBI, a secret agent, a trained combat warrior that Hobbs is in the movies. And yet Dom, because he's got family, could take that guy. Bullshit. Utter bullshit. And then to think that he could take Jason Statham. Bullshit. And then to think that he could take John Cena. Bullshit.
I mean, why do they have to fight? Can't we just have them on screen like they are in behind the scenes, rubbing baby oil on each other?
That's a way different kind of movie, Ray.
Well,
I don't want to know what's in your
X,
imagination.
X.
Fast XXX.
Yeah, with all that oil, they're going to be real fast.
Ooh, family. And listen, I got a prediction. While Dwayne Johnson may be popping back up in the post-credit scene, that doesn't mean him and Vin necessarily have settled their differences. Remember, in Fast 8, which was the last movie, the last Fast and Furious movie, other than Hobbs and Shaw, that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did, him and Vin Diesel did not do one scene together. They had to structure the movie where they never had to be on set together. That's how bad things are.
You know what?
And I bet in this post-credit scene, I don't think, now I hope we do. I want to see mommy and daddy make up, but I bet you, and I hope I'm wrong, but I bet we're going to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the post-credit scene, but it won't be with Vin Diesel.
Oh my gosh, what if it's a shot for shot and he comes out of like smoke and he's like, Dom, we've got to talk.
Oh, just like Henry Cavill and Black Adam?
I'm in the dumbest minority, and I actually think they planned everything since 8. They said, I won't show up. I won't show up for the shoots. We're going to do this back and forth, and I'm going to come back.
See, listen.
Like the biggest work ever.
I suspected that early in the beef, right? Because it was early in the beef that I started, you know what? I think this is all a work. But the thing is, it's dragged on for years.
I believe that.
And actually got quite nasty.
Yeah, I did. But
it actually got pretty nasty and got other people involved. Like, that's what the whole Tyrese thing came from.
I think that was a work too.
It would be great work if it was.
I think this is the greatest game they've ever played.
If the Tyrese thing was a work, Tyrese deserves a fucking Oscar.
Yeah.
I'll say right now, because he played the shit out of that.
Did Vin have any producer role at all on Hobbs and Shaw? Was there any?
I mean, I'm sure he did, but that's probably contractual.
Yeah.
Right? Because the Fast and Furious is kind of his baby. And the name of the movie is Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious Saga.
Hobbs and Shaw, yeah.
Or is it Fast and Furious
Right.
Saga, Hobbs and Shaw, something like that, right?
Well, whatever it was, I just hope they patched it up and we get some last final movies of Fast, I guess, for all the fans. Let's just hope for a good ending, like Guardians of Volume 3. Like,
I hope
works
so.
out together.
Listen, like I said, I am such a big fan of both Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson. Not that obviously Dwayne Johnson's got his Black Adams. Vin Diesel's got his Fast 9. I mean, I don't love everything they do, but I'm a big fan of both these guys. And I really, really, really hope they're able to patch things up. I mean, like it got so bad that like you're seeing all these comments, like a lot of things Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said were not kind. And then Vin Diesel, you know, that back, what was this, like a year or two ago, Vin Diesel got on social media and made that big public statement saying, hey, Dwayne, it's time to come back. You know, my kids still ask where Uncle Dwayne is, and it's time for you to come back. The fans want it for Pablo, for Paul Walker, right? For Pablo, you got to come back, which was kind of, I love Vin, but that was kind of underhanded to try to invoke the name of Paul Walker and that. And Dwayne Johnson, you know, made a statement saying, hey, appreciate it, but I'm not coming back, you know?
They just have a big work ethic difference, like different beliefs in the way they should go about it, but they have the same goals, you know, just like me and you.
Make money.
Yeah. We both can have the same goal, but you and I would go about it very differently.
Some
and
like
care
longer
about different
naps
things
than others.
But we'll get to the
some
same
want
thing.
longer naps.
So that's what it is.
But
It's just a
but
difference in.
Again, I really just hope they can fix it.
Yeah, squash it up.
Because listen, look, it's not a coincidence that Fast and the Furious was never a box office presence until Dwayne Johnson showed up in it in Fast 5. And I don't think it's a big coincidence that the first Fast and Furious movie that we saw take a significant dip in box office was the one they did without Dwayne Johnson, which is Fast 9. Granted, coming out of the pandemic had something to do with that too. Yeah. And the fact that the movie was garbage had something to do with that too. But I would love to see them with Fast X Part 2.
Hug it out on the show.
I would love to see them really bring it home. I would love to see both of them in the movie. I would love to see them stick the landing. So here's hoping they can do that.
Baby oil, baby.
Now, we had turned off the super chats for. Was that all the ones we got?
No, we have a few more.
Oh, we have a few more?
Just
okay.
a few more, yeah.
What's next?
All right, Anthony C. writes, Archer announced for a final season.
Yeah, you know what? I still haven't watched the most recent one. You know what? Before, it's my favorite animated show of all time, Arcane. Uh-huh. Before Arcane came out, I think my favorite animated show was Archer. And then Arcane came out. Now Arcane is my all-time favorite anime show, but I love Archer. I still remember the first time a buddy of mine introduced me and Ann to Archer, and I instantly fell in love with that show. And it's just utterly fantastic. I love it. And I just saw the news today that they did announce the final season is coming. We'll probably talk about it on the channel tomorrow, but yeah, I love that show so much. All right, what's next?
All right, Jay Master is asking, what should the Maple Leafs do to stay in the playoffs? I know my Seattle Kraken are on fire after eliminating the Avalanche defending champs.
Well, I mean, listen, the Toronto Maple Leafs are definitely heading in the right direction. I mean, obviously. Now, look, they just got knocked out by the Panthers. But remember, I think last year, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Panthers last year were the President's Trophy winners. And then this year, they had to play in the first round a Boston Bruins team that set the all-time record for most wins in a season ever. They were the number one seeded team by a mile, and the Panthers knocked them out. That's the team that Toronto had to play, and they got outplayed, and they got beat.
What does this mean? It says 2021 to 2022 Florida Panthers, but it says win number 1. But then underneath it says Boston Bruins for the 2023 season. Win number 4. I don't know what this chart means in Wikipedia. I don't.
Well, I since I don't see the chart,
yeah.
I can't say.
Oh,
but
okay.
But yeah, I mean, but that's the team that beat Toronto. And listen, I'm just happy. Toronto knocked out the Tampa Bay Lightning in round 1. That was the first time the Toronto Maple Leafs won a playoff round in almost 20 years. So you know what? After they won that round, I'm like, woo! To me, this season's a win. And they're just getting better. And it's a good time to be a Maple Leafs fan, actually. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Jaden Voss who writes, watched The Little Mermaid last night, didn't like it, but Melissa McCarthy's acting stood out. Her performance is at par with Angela Bassett and Wakanda Forever, Oscar worthy.
You know, I heard a lot of people talking about how good Melissa McCarthy is in this movie. And you know what? I believe it because the scene that they showed us at CinemaCon was the scene in The Little Mermaid of Melissa McCarthy doing the number of Poor Unfortunate Souls. And she's terrific in it. Now, I haven't seen the whole movie, so I don't know how she is in the rest of it. But everybody who sees it, number one is saying Halle Bailey, I should say.
Yeah.
Halle Bailey is fantastic in it, and hearing that Melissa McCarthy is plenty fantastic too. So I'm excited about that. What's that?
Let me explain this chart. Yeah, you're right. The Florida Panthers did win, and it was their first one. That's why it says win number. That was their first.
Oh, okay. So President's Trophy wins
yes.
the first one. Okay.
The Bruins won this year, I think.
Right. No, yeah, this year they set the all-time record. So by the way, for those of you who don't follow the NHL, and I know a lot of my American friends don't, the President's Trophy is awarded to the team that finishes number one in the standings at the end of the regular season. So it's an honor. Like if you finish first place, like you played the whole season out of all the teams in the league, you did the best. They have this thing called the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
Now, what you really want is the greatest, most historic trophy in the history of sports, the Stanley Cup. Because here's the thing about the Stanley Cup. You win the Stanley Cup, your name gets etched on the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
And it's there forever. Now they have to change out rings for it, all that kind of stuff, but it's the most historical, most beautiful, most incredible trophy in the history of sports. And what people want is the Stanley Cup, Lord Stanley's Cup. That's what people want. But yeah, the President's Trophy is a pretty honorable thing too. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Aza's back. Hey, John, seeing Fast X opening day, my birthday.
Well, hey, I hope it's fun. I hope it's fun because, man, I hated Fast 9, but I'm telling you, these Fast 10 trailers have got me on board. No pun intended, but the engine is revving. I'm excited to see this movie. I really hope it does. Because here's the thing. I was super excited to see Fast 9 as well. I was really stoked. Actually, Anne, me, Rob, and our buddy Cliff, I still remember we went to go see an advanced screening of Fast 9 like a month and a half before it came out. And we got together for dinner first, and we're all talking over dinner, but this is going to be so awesome. This is going to be so great. And then we walked into the theater, and like I still remember all of us like looking at each other as the movie was going on. I was like, what the hell is this? Oh, so hopefully Fast 10 is going to turn that around. Turn it around, baby.
Shift gears, as it were.
Shift gears. All right, what's next?
CJ Rebirth writes, what do you think of the Book of Life movie?
That
Is that the animated one?
Yeah. Diego Luna does the voice. Zoe Saldana.
That's
Channing,
with the masks and stuff,
yep,
like real
Channing
crazy,
Tatum, and
festive.
I can't remember the name of the directors, but I liked it. I didn't think it was great. Like it's no Coco. It's no Coco. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I watched it once and I never watched it again, to be honest. But in a thumbs up or thumbs down world, it's a thumbs up movie to me. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Harves K, who writes, Evil Dead Rise was a solid horror flick, but special kudos to Alyssa Sutherland, who was just amazing as the mother.
Yeah, so listen, with all the hype that went around Evil Dead Rise, right? It was this little movie that was destined to be dumped on streaming. The new ownership of Warner Brothers came in and said, this needs to be in theaters. And I'm glad they did. It's a good movie. I liked it. It didn't quite live up to the hype for me. I didn't think it was that great, but I thought it was quite good. And you're right. The performances in it, I mean, you can just tell from the trailers that her performance was going to be pretty ballsy. And I thought the performances were great. I had fun with that movie, and I'm glad it got its theatrical release. All right, what's next?
All right, Danny Sanchez is reflecting, calling Elsa and Anna Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. By the way, what are their names again?
Anna and Elsa?
Anna and Elsa.
Yeah, Anna and Elsa.
Right. Yeah, we were talking the other day about the fact that, listen, do not sleep. Because we were talking about the all-time biggest animated box office films ever, right? Number one is the 2019 Lion King. By a good margin. That's like $1.6 billion. Biggest animated film of all time. But I think the number 2 and number 3 are both the Frozen movies. And somebody said, man, Frozen's not even that good. They're forgettable. I'm like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? Like to this day. Now, granted, I don't go to fuck Disneyland. I hate Disney. But I don't go to Disneyland anymore. But the last time I went, because Ann and I used to be season pass holders for Disneyland for like 7 years and still goes. But like every time we would go, it doesn't matter how many years pass. Whenever we go, at least 2 or 3 dozen times, we will walk past families with little girls still dressed up as Anna and what's the other one?
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady. Elsa.
Elsa.
That's who it is. And Elsa. We will still see it every freaking time. If you don't think that movie has a permanent place in a lot of families' lives for the rest of their life, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. That movie made an impact on a lot of little girls, a lot of families, and I personally think the movies are quite good. I really like the Frozen movies. I think they're really well put together films. But anyway, we were talking about it on the show the other day, and I could not remember the names of Anna and Elsa. So I said, I don't know, fucking Bebop and Rocksteady. That's now my answer for any pair of people that I can't remember their names. I'll just call them Bebop and Rocksteady from now on. All right, what's next?
All right, we got a few more here. A couple from Fangblaze71. Hey, Jonathan, curious, what are your favorite MCU movies, shows? I will tell you that Guardians 3 is my favorite Phase 4 now. And I think overall...
Well, we're in Phase 5 now.
Phase 5, yeah. And beyond that, I would say probably Winter Soldier is still, like, I go back as that's one of my favorites. Shows, I really enjoyed Loki more than most in this studio. And
Calling me.
yeah, I like Loki a lot. And then also I really liked WandaVision. So those are my...
Yeah, for me, I mean, Ms. Marvel comes really close, but WandaVision is still the standard bearer as far as I'm concerned when it comes to MCU on Disney+. The movies, I think a top 3 greatest comic book movie of all time is still the first Avengers movie. I mean, I don't know that another comic book movie has captured that awe and wonder for me like that first Avengers film did. So that's still way up there for me. Probably Civil War would be my second favorite MCU film of all time, probably. But yeah, Ray, you got a favorite MCU movie and MCU show?
There's like just some recency bias right now. I really love Guardians Volume 3. I can't get over it.
I'm hearing a lot of people say that.
I'm still thinking, I mean, so far right now, but yeah, of course, Winter Soldier, yeah. But Volume 3 is in my head still right now.
Yeah,
so.
Again, I'm hearing a lot of people saying, like, ever since the movie came out, I've been hearing a lot of people saying, it's one of my favorite MCU movies of all time now, and blah, blah. Like, my,
Blah, blah, blah.
my favorite MCU movie since Endgame is still Shang-Chi. That one's still my favorite there, but Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is so good.
Oh, yeah, let's give props to Iron Man 1. I watched that like 17 times.
It's great.
Yeah, so.
It's great. All right, what's next?
Okay, Fangblaze71 is back. Think you'll ever bring back play-in chats?
You know what? It's hard. Look, I was really excited to do play-in chats. I just had this vision in my head. We even set up an entire Studio B for it. We put up cameras and lights and got a Nintendo Switch and a PlayStation 5 in there. I had this vision in my head that we'd get the crew in there and we'd play video games and stream while we're playing video games. But man, it was a struggle. We would have problems with the streaming. We would have problems with us not being able to get out of a room. What was that game, Ray? We were
It was the Marvel. Gosh, what is it? It's
Marvel
like
Superheroes or something like that.
I remember it's like, okay.
Ultimate Alliance.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance, right? And we had, for those of you who didn't see the stream, and I hope you didn't see the stream, so we're starting off. All right, guys, we had all of us in there. We're going to play Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Here we go. And they start you off in this room. And your first thing is get out of the room. And we just like a jackal of dipshits just sitting there, 4 of us with remote controls. I don't know how to get out of the room. And we're just like
to Mario Kart
in this box. And then we just always switch back over to Mario Kart. So look, here's what I think will return. I think I will get back once we get rolling in our new format for a few weeks, but I think I'll start doing maybe some play-in chats, maybe 1 or 2 a month at night with just me at my PC, either playing probably like online poker or playing Warcraft or playing something like that where it's just casual. But yeah, I don't see us doing the full-fledged play-in chats again because it didn't work.
Yeah.
Although, but what the one thing that did the outlier was Mario Kart. For some reason, that worked for us.
It was fun.
Yeah.
But we did get some complaints from people that it was very difficult for us to focus on answering questions while playing the thing. That's why, like, laugh all you want, but that's like why when I would do play-in chats, playing online poker or even World of Warcraft, it was actually very conducive to that because there's a lot of breaks, right? Like if you're on a mission in World of Warcraft, you can just stop where you are and tell your guy to sit down for a minute and answer a question and then go back to it. Or if you're in between hands and poker. But yeah, so it was a little challenging. It was a little bit challenging. All right, what's next?
All right, we got our final one here from Jay Bling, who writes, I just read in Deadline they're that there actually may be no rule that the AMP TP studios can't individually bargain with the guilds, but they believe there's more mutual benefit to collective bargaining. Well, for sure.
Well, no. Yeah, listen, the AMPTP can absolutely bargain with individual guilds, but as you only have collective bargaining power and the legal protection of collective bargaining if you actually work in unison with your fellow members of that collective bargaining agreement. And so I do not believe that they can, because if you do, I think the other studios are going to sue the living shit out of you, because you're undermining the whole reason you do collective bargaining. So you have your collective power, whether you're writers and you have the collective power of all the writers together, directors, you have the collective power of all the directors to character, or the studios and producers that you have the collective power of all you together. If one of your members then goes outside of you, when you had an agreement that we're going to do this together, and then they go behind your back and make private deals, you're going to get the hell suit out of you because you just undermined everybody. So I think that would be really tough. Now, granted, while I worked in law, I have never had any experience with U.S. labor law. I have no experience in that. So take anything I say on this matter with a giant grain of salt, because it could be totally different from what I understand. But it would seem problematic. I think it would seem problematic. All right, guys. Well, we thought we were going to do this for 1 hour, and we're at 1 hour and 2 minutes, which is kind of perfect. So that'll do it, guys, for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for joining us here. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the tip questions, which, once again, if you want to send in a question and you can't watch the show live, but you want to hear it answered here on the show, go ahead and send in a tip question anytime, 24/7 at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And if your question is appropriate to be used on our show, we'll use it here. But also all you guys who sent in the super chat questions here watching live along with us. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so much for your support. Hey guys, listen again, make sure if you haven't done so already, go and find our podcast feeds. You can find our podcast feeds on any of your favorite podcasting apps of choice. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. Go and subscribe to it today, because every day we edit together a full podcast of all the topics that we talked about that today. And we also add in some extra things for the podcast as well. Go and subscribe to it. And by the way, I want to let you guys know this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Give me a second here, Jonathan, before you go to my screen, if you're able to go to my screen. But we've started putting together, now you can. Right. We've now put together a daily newsletter that we send out, and we just launched it a few days ago, and we're already over 1,000 subscribers to our newsletter, which is awesome. We're way ahead of where we thought we'd be. Thank you to everybody for that, including in our newsletter some of our favorite comments that get put in there that day. We put in announcements. I put in a little John's Thought blog post in there, and these go out just about every morning. So if you want to know where you can subscribe to the newsletter, look in the community tab, go down. Like every day I'll put in a link to the new newsletter so you can go and read it on web. It's easier to have it delivered right to your inbox, and I'm not going to put it in the community tab every day, but check to see there and then click the subscribe button, and we hope that you guys will join that. All right, guys, that'll do it for the John Campea YouTube channel broadcasting day. Thank you so much for joining us. Open Mic will be back again tomorrow, so we hope for you guys who like watching live, you'll come back and join us live for that again. So for the guys in the room with me, Ray, Jonathan, you guys, most importantly, thanks a lot for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.